Preparing live stream. Should be live now. And then I will want to, okay, let me just say hello, world. World, hey, Dub Nation. Go change the stats for this. All right. Hello, Dub Nation. Hey, YouTubers. This is Poor Man's Commish, your Warriors Credential Insider. We decided to go live tonight, Game 1, NBA Finals, but we do have a special guest coming on in about 25 minutes, Doc Martin of BabcockHoops. And we're going to talk draft because I know everyone wants to talk about the draft. So we also have here our usuals, Rebecca and Gabe. Go ahead, Rebecca, then Gabe.
What's up, guys? I'm Rebecca. Probably seen me a lot on here. I go to NYU, have a podcast called Hoops and Scoops. You can find it pretty much anywhere. And yeah, that's me.
Hey all, it's Gabe. Excited to get back on here. It's been a little bit. I mean, there hasn't been any Warriors basketball, but excited to get back and talk about some basketball and talk about some draft stuff. Giannis is good to go, so I'm hoping we'll have a really good game.
Well, guys, so Doc Martin of BabcockHoops. I am literally typing that in on our Discord. Coming on at 6:30. Boom, there's the link. And we are waiting for tip-off. Let's take a look at the chat. Yo! St. Tino. Where's our regulars? Where's Anonymous? Darius sounds familiar. No cap. Let's get this going. Hit the like button. I can't wait to talk about the draft.
Yeah, I've been spending an unhealthy amount of time on it.
Yeah. You and what's surprising is someone on our Discord named Dulo Twist. That guy knows like everybody in college basketball. It's insane.
Yeah, he has crazy knowledge of dudes I've like never even heard of who are like second round, maybe gonna get picked guys.
Yeah, okay.
Spending all this time on the lottery guys, but I can't say I know like rando second round dude.
What do you guys think for the finals here? Go ahead and give your predictions. I always said Phoenix in 5, but I don't know. I'm terrible at predicting. I don't know.
I think it's hard to say without having seen Giannis play yet and see how he looks, because obviously it all depends on what version of Giannis and if we even get him playing in all the games and etc. So I would say if Giannis is at all limited, I'd pick Suns in probably 6. If he's himself, then maybe Bucks in 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think Giannis's injury has a huge part to do with it. Actually, kind of funny that you said Suns in 6, because so far the Suns have closed out every series of the playoffs on the opponent's home court. So I think that's actually just a very interesting stat, and I'm sure the Bucks fans would hate that. Saint is saying Suns in 4. I don't know if I'd say Suns in 4. I think the Bucks are going to get a game. I think Middleton's going to have a game, at least one game where he just goes bonkers.
Yeah, man, this isn't Warriors Cavs.
No, that's probably just memeing from that dude who like beat up the Denver fan and yelled Suns in 4.
Oh God, man, yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be reasonably
I'm
close.
hoping the Suns win, and I think they will.
You know, as a Warriors fan, I'm actually rooting for the Suns just because of how hard it is to repeat. So it'll be even harder next year. That's a weird way to root for somebody, but it's kind of, I don't know. I think so.
I mean, I have a lot of respect. Chris Paul pisses me off a lot and can be an annoying opponent and a pest. At the same time, I respect him, and he is one of the best point guards at all time, especially passing the ball. One of the few true point guards in the game. So I have a mad respect for him. And I wouldn't mind seeing a guy like him win a championship. I think it'd be great. I also think the storyline of Devin Booker after leading the Suns to 8-0 in the bubble last year, coming out here in his first playoffs and then getting to the finals. And then I'd love to see him win finals MVP, because that would just be wild, a player winning finals MVP in their first playoff appearance.
Yeah. He hasn't even played his best I think he had one game where he
he had
game
a
one.
game kind of more against the Lakers that he was big on. Like that first kind of game versus the Lakers.
He killed it game one, and then he was kind of limited in the conference finals.
Yeah, because they put Beverly, they had everybody covering him a little bit.
You got that hyper-focused camera stuff that looks kind of video gamey. I don't love it.
And I just tipped.
Okay, I'm definitely not anyway.
Elijah Curry.
They called it something was wrong with the tip. So they're
What's up, Elijah Curry?
All right, well, let's wait. They just had the not correct tip in my end.
All right, so my over-the-air broadcast has started. I can't get the streaming site to work. Isn't that crazy? Okay.
Yeah, I just had a real tip.
It's great to see Giannis. I mean,
Becca, did you pause at some point?
I'm at a foul, so I haven't yet.
Giannis has some magical knee.
Yeah, I don't know how he didn't suffer something way more serious there. Looks pretty springy there already.
Phoenix gets a chance to count to 12.
Yeah.
I've been timing these, and they're all 11 point something. Illegal.
Testing his legs out early. Run that first play as an alley-oop time.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with my streaming here. So you guys go ahead. You guys sync up. I'll see what I can do.
Right. Giannis just took his first free throw for me.
Okay. I finished his free throws, so I'm at 11:41.
So strange. Is it being streamed somewhere else on ABC maybe? NBA Finals.
It's definitely on ABC or ESPN.
Oh, I mean online. Oh, I got to go to YouTube TV maybe?
Okay, 43, 42, 41. Okay.
Showing it.
Giannis goes one of two. Both teams starting with the big rolling to the basket. CP3, Lopez on an island, misses the mid-range. So Middleton has Booker on him, at least for the moment.
Yeah, I was trying to track how they're matching up. There's a couple of kind of transition-y things. It was hard to see.
Right. You might see a little bit of nerves first from this Suns team, I can imagine. I mean, from both teams a little bit too.
I was gonna say,
Um,
from our experience of watching the Warriors in the finals, the people's first games in the finals are often a little rusty,
Come on.
a little tight.
His mid-range is elite. As is Middleton's.
Yeah, gonna see a lot of action in that mid-range. See how it looks like the Bucks they're just switching. I was wondering about that. It's like they normally play a drop with their big on that pick and roll, but they finally kind of decided to maybe occasionally start switching things in that Hawks series after Trey was just burning them coming off of those picks. And I was very curious what they do from the jump. And it looks like they're switching immediately. See Lopez come out there. Giannis's big arms get in the way of that pass. Elijah Curry, you're asking about the draft. We'll talk more about that soon, but I have lots of thoughts, so we will get to it.
Yeah.
So it looks like they open up with Ayton on Giannis. Giannis hits a spinning turnaround jumper. That's pretty amazing, but not the kind of shot that Phoenix is sad about letting him take. Bucks defense pretty sharp in their rotations early. Is trying to take advantage of transition, throws a pretty bad pass. Booker picks it. He's got Bridges.
What a catch! Or not
That
a
was
catch, a tip.
Super tough catch.
Wait a minute. Where are you guys?
9:21.
9:20.
Yeah, my stream's super slow, but then I got this one over here. Man, I'm either a minute ahead or a minute behind.
Well, go to the one where you're ahead and then wait for us.
I can't because it's over the air. Anyways.
Want us to pause?
Nah, it's okay. Because my stream's unreliable. Like I'm on the abc.com site and
You can't let them cherry pick like that.
Yeah, other interesting defensive thing just to look at from the jump here is PJ Tucker gets the CP3 assignment and they have Drew on Booker. But of course,
they're pretty much switching everything.
Yeah, they're switching everything. Booker gets right by Lopez there, finds CP in the corner, but no good. Bucks usually play that drop coverage to prevent any sort of corner three shot, but when they're switching, that becomes a little more available. Giannis draws the foul on that transition. Yeah, that cherry pick was a hallmark of the Bucks play against the Hawks, where when they're switching and a big is out on the perimeter, they have that big sprint and try to seal, immediately. And so Lopez and Giannis were pretty successful against the Hawks of running out and getting that quick sort of outlet pass and just putting it over a smaller defender. See if Phoenix can recognize that. Giannis's free throw woes continue. Again. So 10-8, Milwaukee up for people who don't have a scoreboard. I'm pretty impressed with Milwaukee's defense so far, but Suns have missed a few open looks. Bridges will pull from 3. First sub of the game, by the way, Portis came in for Lopez. So Bucks going sort of small, except that everybody's super tall, even if they're lacking a traditional center. Booker goes right at, wow. Okay, goaltending. Booker goes right by Middleton. Giannis tried to clean it up, but goaltended.
Yeah, Giannis, good try.
Yeah, just a second or so late.
It was in the cylinder.
Shoot. My tweet didn't work.
Eaton with a pretty good defense there on Drew's drive. An open 3 for Jay. No good. Got another leak out by Portis. Ends up in a no. Oh, great
Ball
pass by
movement.
Holiday. That's not a foul. Interesting. Yeah, great pass by Holiday there. Could have settled. We're feeling out Middleton here. Goes by him. Another corner 3 for Paul, but he stepped out of bounds. Looks like Phoenix will call him out there. So 12-10, both teams actually look much less tight and nervous than I kind of thought they would be. You know, I remember those first finals games in 2015 when the Warriors were brand new. There was a lot of nerves out there for sure. So impressed. All these guys are brand new to the finals, but maybe that kind of helps that there's no experience. Like nobody's the vet experienced team that's been there before. So they're just kind of playing loose. Let's see. Hello, account. Need to refer to people by these screen names, but hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the one thing Phoenix is starting to recognize is that Booker can take Middleton. He's had a pretty easy job getting by him those last couple of possessions. And if he starts punishing that matchup, that forces the Bucks to go into rotation early. That might be somewhere they look to attack. I'd say Giannis is also generally looking like himself. I mean, he hasn't, only been a few minutes, but I haven't seen any evidence that he looks particularly limited, which is important for our thinking about the series.
Florio doesn't get it. The 19 of us watching right now, it'll end up being, over 1,000 people watching at some point, I think.
Yeah. Also,
most of us are here.
You announce that you don't care. Nobody.
Yeah. We're here to talk Warriors, and we will. Just let it sink in first, everyone. Plus, Doc Martin has to log in, so that'll be whenever.
Yeah, oh, good point, account. That whole Kelly thing. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I saw some.
Oh,
quotes.
We can talk about it way more in detail, but it's like, since we're on a commercial, it's just Kelly Oubre, he's got a campaign for himself. You can't just sit there and go, yeah, I'll come off the bench.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, he's trying to make money. So he'll make money. And I think Lacob's got to sign him just to keep the salary slot.
Yeah, it didn't seem like anything that was shocking. Oubre's obviously going to say that he should be paid and starting, and he obviously has confidence in himself, and he should, but none of that actually matters when the actual contracts start getting offered. So we'll see.
Yeah. Here's Saint Tino asking about Otto Porter. So you know what I do? First thing I do is I go look up Otto Porter's salary. Hoops Hype is the one I go to because to me it just looks nicer. Washington. He's on Washington, right?
No, he's on Orlando now.
Oh,
after-
I
shoot.
thought he was on the Bulls, or did he
Yeah.
go in that Vucevic
He's
trade?
been traded around a bunch. Yeah, he was part of the Vucevic salary match.
Otto Porter. What? 28 million?
Yeah, so he's in his last year of
Whoa.
that outrageous salary that he signed with
How
Washington.
the hell did he get that?
Because he looked like a really good 3-and-D guy about 5 years ago, and Washington paid him $1 million,
He's
more
a
than
free
$1 million,
agent.
$30
That
million.
doesn't.
So
We can't get a guy who's
Well,
a
no,
free
he's not
agent
gonna. I mean,
making 30 million
well, he's not going to get paid that much. We know that.
or
That's
20 million. Whatever.
he's not going
Like,
to get paid $10 million.
we can't afford him. It's that simple. Like our
I mean,
biggest
he
new
might be
guy
there
that
on
we
the
can
MLE.
pay, mid-level, 6 million is the most we can pay a free
Yeah.
agent.
He might be
Other
there
than
for
that,
that.
So good luck to Otto, but I'm pretty sure someone out there is going to pay him more than 6 million going from 28. So that doesn't even add up.
But he's been massively overpaid for that entire contract. So I don't know. I don't know what anyone else will offer him. So we'll see.
Okay.
But he could be an
that was a
option.
bad play right there. Oh
My
how
God.
the hell did that not
Pretty
go
good.
in?
A weird sequence.
He'd be good at 6 million.
Bridges
For a dunk.
Well, that
Milwaukee,
was a bad sequence for
bizarre
Milwaukee.
amount of misses there. Lopez open in the corner, pulls it, buries it.
He's the X factor.
Yeah. Bucks, I mean, Ayton will be happy with Lopez shooting a contested shot, but he can hit him. There they go. I was wondering if they'd do that. It looked like since the Bucks are switching everything, Ayton has to be way more involved because he's the only guy who can really punish those switches. Lopez will try it again.
He can hit from that range, so they gotta close out on that a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, Drew just a half second slow on that switch. Ayton's able to get behind him. Campaign is in for CP, by the way. Otherwise, the rest of the starters are in for Phoenix.
Well, and Giannis has come out.
Yeah. Yeah, Bucks starting lineup for the non-Giannis games is in right now. Middleton hits a step back. Middleton has struck me watching the Bucks last few games like he's kind of a 6'7" Kevin Durant. Like if Kevin Durant was 4 or 5 inches shorter, that's kind of what he looked like. Booker gets Lopez up in the air, and we'll go to the line.
I don't know. I feel Chris is so crapshooty. Like he's either really hot or really cold.
Yeah, he's been steadily their most important player, I think, because Giannis is obviously going to put up big production, but he just can't initiate with the ball in his hands, and they need Middleton or Drew to sort of carry that load at the end of games, and Middleton's been their closer. Had a couple Clay-like games where he just caught fire. Milwaukee brings in Bryn Forbes, subbing out PJ Tucker. Suns bring in Cam Johnson and Dario Saric, going small. So no centers in the game now for Phoenix. They'll see how they match up against Brook. Yeah, Phoenix will take that all day. Drew's settling for a really tough shot. Booker ISOs on Portis. Portis recovers pretty well, although it looked like Booker had him.
I don't know.
And then he gets the run out on transition. Yeah, it was a weird angle. I couldn't tell if he made contact with him when he came down.
Good find. Cam Johnson has turned into such a lethal threat from behind the arc. And the thing about him is, at least in the playoffs, the rate he is hitting at, he was like 3 of 3. Like, he doesn't take a lot, but he hits them when he does take them.
Yeah, Phoenix is full of those guys.
But he's, I think, even better than some of the others.
Yeah,
and then
just
there's
so deep with
Campaign,
shooters.
ugliest jump shot in the world, but he hits it.
Yeah, Phoenix they're like 8 deep in significant 3-point threats. Really, Aiton's the only player they play who isn't like actually scary from 3. And pays off. Yeah, Cam Johnson's funny. That was like a whole thing about him getting drafted so early. People were very shocked. Had him projected in like the late first round, and he got picked like 11th. There was that whole video of his teammate, was it Kobe White? Yeah, reacting in the draft and just being like, "Wow, he got picked that." But the Suns were right. I mean, he was older than your usual player because he had done a longer time in college. But I mean, he's a tall shooter who plays solid defense, and that kind of player is so valuable these days. I think it's a good lesson, actually, sort of turning this to the Warriors conversation. While Cam Johnson maybe looked like a little bit of a reach, and the Warriors don't have to pull up, I'm not saying it's a parallel in that they have to like take some guy who's a reach, but I think like not overthinking it at 7, especially at 14, really, like not worrying about trying to make sure the guy you pick maybe could be a star. Like Cam Johnson's never going to be a star, but he's the kind of guy that a team needs several of in order to be a really good team, right? And so if you can find just like a solid 3-and-D type wing at 14, like that's fine. It's okay if their upside isn't like all-star,
Okay.
Campaign and Joe Ingles, who has the ugliest jump shot. Both lefties with that same weird sort of like pocket behind their heads sort of thing. It looks very odd. Mm-hmm. Hello, sleepy mattress. People watching, since we're not watching a Warriors game, we will have less emotions and feelings about this game, and therefore less furious ranting. And so throw questions in the chat.
Oh, but that's my specialty.
Maybe since Rebecca is pulling for Phoenix, she'll have feelings. But
nah, not like that still. I will have some feelings towards all the people with these ridiculous James Wiseman trade rumors.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Elijah Curry, I like it. Duarte is definitely somebody I would be looking at hard at 14 for exactly the reasons I was just talking about. I think he could easily do Cam Johnson type stuff.
Here comes Doc. All right.
And right on time, we can talk about the draft.
Doc.
Hello.
Can you hear us all right, Doc? Say something. Okay. Can you hear us, Doc? Oh, your microphone's not on. Let me text him real quick. I don't see a microphone icon for him, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
There we go. Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, there we are.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Doc Martin is here. People, Dub Nation. He's with Babcock Hoops, which I consider of the upper echelon of NBA draft analysis. I usually really just check 3 sites: Draft Express, NBADraft.net, and Babcock Hoops, because they've been doing it the longest. Matt Babcock grew up in the NBA general manager family. So he has some special connections, and he's built a whole organization that helps general managers out and are draft experts. So, and then Draft Express and NBA Draft, they've been doing it for, over a decade, possibly 2 decades. So welcome to the show, Doc. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you guys for having me.
So we got Rebecca and Gabe here, my usual crew, and we've got the NBA Finals in the background. Pretty close game over there. So who you got for the finals? Who are you rooting for?
I'm torn because some of the guys that I've had the opportunity to work with in the NBA, with Drew Holiday and CP3 and Monty and Coach Ayers and Langston Galloway and Etwan Moore. So like I've got guys on both sides, but I think it would be really great to see CP3 finally kind of go ahead and put the icing on the cake and get his first one, especially for Monty and everything that he's been through with his NBA coaching career.
Too.
And just being able just to persevere and continue to walk the path that he's been called to do. You just really kind of root for those guys, and nothing to take away from Drew and Giannis and those guys, but just kind of knowing the path that these guys have had to go through in order to get to where they are. I think I'm rooting for the Phoenix Suns.
Okay. Yeah, spoken like a guy that knows a lot of people in the NBA, kind of keeping it balanced on both sides. But I got a really cool Monty Williams story from my own eyes. I was at Team USA, I think 2014, let's just say. And he was just, they were doing the one-on-one drills. So it'd be like KD, then switch it over to Miles Turner, then switch it over to probably Chris Millen too. And Monty is just going at it at each one of these guys and playing his own heart out.
Yeah.
Just a one-on-one post-up drill. This is an assistant coach on the Team USA staff, like sweating like crazy, like he's about to, break in half, and I just marveled at the dedication to the game.
And it's one of those things where you have a guy like that that's out there in the trenches going through drills that are guarding these guys. It brings a different rapport with the guys, and that was one of the things I had the opportunity to do when I was with the Pelicans, that I had a certain role outside of the actual basketball court, but then Monty was like, hey, I need you more on the floor with the guys. And so it helped me in my role as the director of player development and player programs to build a rapport and create a different level sense of comfort for those guys when they're going through something. They felt as if they could come and talk to me because they saw me as one of them, because I was on the floor in the drills, guarding them, giving them a little bit of what they may see, in the actual game wise. And I used to love it when Coach would put me in the corner like, Doc, every time you catch it, just shoot it. No problem, Coach. I got you.
Wait. So wait, you worked with Monty directly, and
In New Orleans, yeah. Yeah,
wow,
when he
That's
was the
awesome.
head coach, I was director of player programs, and I would ask to volunteer during the summer times to help coach the summer league team, just to kind of again just to be around and to be around those rookies who just got drafted, kind of help them get a little bit of a lay of the land as to what to expect, different responsibilities you're going to have off the floor as an NBA rookie. But then, like in practice, I was out there guarding these guys, giving them a different look, helping out in drill type scenarios, or if I had to play the role of a shooter on the opposing team, just kind of making sure they had the defensive rotations correct. Communication was where it needed to be. And my only job was every time I caught, I just needed to shoot the ball from wherever I was at.
wow, that's amazing. That's a
Yeah.
great story. So we have the end of the first quarter here. Anybody catch the score? It's still pretty close.
Yeah, I turned away. I think it's like
Yeah, I
one.
think it's 30-26.
Okay. All right. So
Sounds
before we get into the draft, because we can just ramble on with the draft. Rebecca and then Gabe, do you guys have any questions for Doc that's like non-draft related?
not yet.
Or we can let's ask about well, go ahead, Gabe. Got anything?
No, I mean I can think of random stuff, but I think the draft is, what the people want.
Okay, let's jump into it. While I try and get the Instagram going here,
I think the simple starting point is I think we kind of have a sense from consensus of who the top 6 are. Cunningham, Mobley, Suggs, Green, Kuminga, and Barnes. And obviously, as a Warriors fan, we're looking at 7, which in many ways, we kind of control the next phase of the draft in a lot of directions because those next groups seem like they could fall a lot of different ways. What are you thinking for the Warriors at 7 that makes the most sense?
Well, I've heard a lot of the rumors about them potentially, and again, I don't have any inside information as to how their front office is thinking, but I've read the rumors about them taking the 7th and 14th and packaging it up and sending it off for, another player. Me on the other hand, from my standpoint, you really don't know what you have in Wiseman just yet, and I wouldn't be ready just to ship him off to another team. Because you just never know if he's going to be the second coming of a great player or the first coming of somebody we've never seen before, just with his physical gifts and just, I think he's in a great situation just because of the spacing and all the shooters that he has around him. That was always the philosophy when I was with Portland when we drafted Greg Oden. Like, you can never have enough shooters around this kid. And you've got Clay back in the fold. You've got Steph and those guys that are back in the fold, and then they're clicking on all cylinders. This kid has nothing but real estate and space to operate down there in the event that there's no open 3 from the outside that Clay and Steph and all the other guys can get up. So it's just, and plus he could be a dynamic roller. When you're rolling to the basket, that physically gifted, it's an easy bucket all day long as you don't get hurt. And so with the 7th and 14th pick, I'm more so looking for, like an insurance policy type, and like in the event that there is another injury, who can be able to step in and kind of help us keep afloat until those main guys are actually back in the fold. So you may be looking at a guy like Book Knight, maybe looking at a guy like Wagner at 7, just guys that play with a high level of basketball IQ that understand the game. And I think the key thing is just having somebody who's versatile. I think one of the things that people overlook with Golden State, they pack a great offensive punch, but just one of the key things for them to be able to stay in games, they're able to switch 1 through 5. I mean, you have a lot of NBA teams that are switching now, but more so with them, they can switch 1 through 5. And even with Steph, not necessarily the greatest of defensive players, but there's still effort that's there. And being able to switch 1 through 5 makes things so much easier on the defensive end because, every NBA team has at least one true big. So this is why I feel like you have to keep Wiseman. He could be that one true big that you can have. You don't want to play small ball going in every game where you got the likes of everybody in the Western Conference that at least has 1 to 2 actual true bigs. So you got to keep that size. And that's one of the reasons why, even reading some of the comments about trading those picks and shipping Wiseman off, I'm like, we don't know what we have in him just yet. Let's just see what we got first.
Right. Also, in Bob Myers's exit interview, basically he was saying that someone asked him about the process of the whole figuring out the draft, where in past drafts it would be much more complicated because there's so many variables from 1 to 27th and they're picking 28th, for example. Here they kind of know that, okay, let's just get it right up. If we can get it up to 14, then we can get a good pick through 7. And then also with the whole process of it, the most important thing I thought he said was about a week before the draft is when we'll know how much these picks are worth. That's when it gets really interesting. So the week before the draft is everything kind of starts to really move quickly for them. So what do you think about, I feel like there's kind of a drop off from 6 to 7 because you're looking at the big 5 that everybody knows, Scotty Barnes, probably the 6th. And then then you're going to a Book Night or Wagner, and it feels like there's a drop off. How big of a drop off is that?
I think it's a pretty big drop off. There's a lot of parity, after those picks. Once you kind of get down, you've got guys with similar height, similar athleticism, or you got some more specific guys with that one skill, like the kid Kisper out of Gonzaga, just a flat out shooter. He could be an integral piece for any team. It just depends upon what type of system that they play. So it's just, I think from that point on, it just depends upon what type of system you're going to run and how you want to play. You want to rely more so on a 3-point shot, or are we going to just draft somebody who's versatile? We can also switch 1 through 4 because the NBA, whether we want to admit to it or not, it's a copycat league. Once a team kind of finds a formula that's working for them, where they're able to do something defensively or offensively, everybody's kind of looking for that next piece. Like, how can we take a piece of what they do and incorporate it into what we do and kind of have it all meshed together and help us take us to a level that we haven't been to or we aspire to get to. So I do feel like there's a drop off. So again, there's a lot of parity. And then there's some guys that, that have really good size for their position, but not fully developed offensively as to what role they're going to serve on an NBA team. Just like the kid Scotty Barnes, great size as a point forward, maybe in some spot minutes as a 1. But you still really don't know what all he could really bring to a table outside of having that great size for his position. So do you slide him more to a 3 versus him being a ball dominant type wing? So it's just a lot of it just kind of really depends upon just what the identity of that team will be going into this draft, and will they draft accordingly? Like, hey, we're looking to be this type of team. Is there a player out there that fits what we're trying to do that can kind of help us turn the curve?
In my opinion, I'll let you guys jump into, but in my opinion, I'm at every Zoom call of the Warriors during the season, and I just hear Steve talking about wings all the time. So I feel like we got to get some type of wing. I think Wagner can pass as one of those, but so I feel like number 1 is the wing, and then number 2 would be like a playmaker type to sort of complement Jordan Poole on the second team, and which is something they struggled with last season. Of course, Clay was injured though, so there's always that asterisk. So I'm kind of looking at that. Gabe, I think maybe you're thinking slightly differently.
I mean, I don't know. I've just been devouring YouTube scouting reports, so it's not like I know for anything for real here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to me. I think and I would like your feedback on this, having actually been in draft rooms, knowing that sort of there is this kind of flattening of the talent level after 6, where, like you said, there's this drop off. And in many ways, I've been furiously looking at big boards and mock drafts, and people have that next 7 through 14 ranked in wildly different ways, right? And there's some draft experts who have players ranked 8 who are 22 on somebody else's board or whatever, right? Is there, imagining that you're working for the Warriors or whatever, do you think of that as an advantageous position of being well, we can kind of just pick whoever we like, as opposed to thinking about with Wiseman, for instance, at number 2, you kind of have to be drafting for big time upside and really thinking about best player available kind of stuff. Whereas maybe in this second grouping, the difference between a Bouknight and a Moody and a Wagner and a Mitchell, like is maybe not that big. And so they can kind of settle on the people that they actually like.
Yeah, I think it's more along the lines of just identifying a guy that fits the way that they want to play. Clay and Steph are not going to be, probably from this point on in their careers, they're not going to probably be able to play a whole entire 82 game season. So who can we add to the mix that will kind of help us keep us afloat, keep us in games, help us kind of stay around that 500 when those key guys are out. And so it's like, who would be a best complement if Wiseman is playing a lot of games? Who would be a great complement to play beside him? Is it another wing? Is it more of a spread forward where he can occupy, that low block area? So it's just, you're looking for the best fit. It's a combination of best fit, best available. Like, who is our guy? Like, who do we see kind of coming in and really kind of just, again, carrying the ship while Clay is out, while Steph is out on those nights where those guys need rest, like running those guys into the ground for 82 games and then expecting them to perform at a high level in the playoffs. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you also have to just kind of be mindful, like, what's the end goal mission of it? Are we trying to just play 82 games, or are we trying to be one of those final teams that are playing deep into the playoffs right now? And who can kind of best help us keep the ship afloat, in this year's draft? Again, it's just, as he said, as the draft kind of gets closer, those real ideal trade scenarios kind of really kind of begin to show themselves. And as of right now, there's a lot of chit chatter that's out there. Just they're probably the greatest poker game ever played right now. Nobody really wants to show their hand as to what they're thinking and what they want to do. But you've got that list of guys up based upon your intel, your scouting throughout the course of the year, like who best fits us right now that can plug in and play and keep the things afloat as we, integrate Clay back into the mix, making sure we're not burning Steph out, make sure we're not, running Draymond into the ground. Like, who can step in and kind of fill that role and best provide that punch for us? And so you've kind of got a little bit of a pick, even though there is a drop off, but there are some guys in that you can kind of plug in right now just to kind of keep things afloat around that 500 level until those guys are kind of really back and kind of fully hit their stride.
What do you got, Rebecca?
Well, it's kind of.
Oh, and she's gone.
Uh-oh.
We got some folks in the chat who are interested in some prospects. So if you don't mind, maybe going through a couple of these guys.
Okay.
Giddey is a name that keeps coming up. So what's your take on him?
Well, it's a funny thing with my experience in scouting. I haven't done a whole lot with the international players. So within the Babcock group, we have Jason Filippi, who kind of does a lot more with the international guys. So I'm not very familiar with him. So I probably be not necessarily the best source to ask about the international players.
That's totally fair. Jalen Johnson was another name that kept coming up. What about him?
He's intriguing because I was thinking about him, like, if I'm looking at the needle, like, he really doesn't, for me, move it to the left or to the right. He's kind of right there in the middle. Like, the sample size on him isn't really that great. So I really don't know what all he kind of can really bring to the table outside of his size and versatility. Like, how does he fit into how the Warriors play? Can he step in and kind of be that Draymond-like? But again, he doesn't play with a lot of high energy the way that Draymond does. And so he's a guy that really doesn't move the needle to the left or to the right for me. He's just kind of he might just be a safe pick because he went to Duke type deal. Not to kill the kid by any means, but it's just, for me as a scout, like, he doesn't move the needle to the left or the right. He doesn't get me excited. There's some guys that do get me excited, but they've got some warts in their games that they really need to improve, like the kid, Kai Jones at Texas. High energy guy. I just love the way that he plays, but like I'm thinking, have they had this type of player in Jordan Bell in the past? And didn't really kind of, make out the way that he should have, because I thought he was going to be that backup to Draymond, coming off the bench, playing the same identical way. But the kid Kai Jones is intriguing because as a scout these days, you're evaluating these kids. Playing hard is now a skill. And so he plays pretty hard, has to get stronger, probably improve more on his perimeter game, but the energy and level of aggression that he kind of plays with, that part is hard to coach. You much rather have a guy to kind of tell him to taper it back versus telling somebody to turn it on. And I feel like that kid is always turned on.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Another name that's coming up in the comments a bunch, and we've seen mocks at 7 or 14, depending on where we're looking, is Davion Mitchell. And I know, like me and some of the commenters in here, like have a lot of concerns about his size and like how much we can trust some of the things that happened in his big improvement this year. But what are you thinking about him?
Well, he's got another thing that you can't coach, and he's got heart. Like if this kid is able to kind of lead his team from where he was at, was at Auburn, transferred into Baylor, and end up leading his team to a national champion. There's a level of understanding how to win that comes along with winning a national championship, and for that part, it's really kind of hard to substitute. Like, it's one thing to teach a kid how to win, but if he's already done it on another level, and this is the reason why I say that the Chicago Bulls have been able to rebound, because the draft in which they went through, where they were drafting kids that came from winning programs, and so you've got the kids from Kansas, the kids from Duke, so you've got guys that have used to winning, know how to win, so you're kind of help the franchise kind of rebound a little bit during that era of Luau Deng, Kirk Heinrich. They drafted guys who knew how to win. So I like the kid Davion despite his size. And even with that, like when my time in Portland, we brought DJ Augustine into a workout, and just watching the way he had the ball on a string, him being able to navigate pick and rolls, the leader that he is on the floor, we walked away saying, you know what, regardless of this kid's size, we can find a way to put him on the floor and hide his size on the floor with just solid rotations, communication on defense. Like, he was a guy that we actually liked in Portland, and bringing him into a workout despite his size. And so I think Davion kind of fits right into that Mitchell, where he's got a tough, gritty kid who can shoot the ball. Again, he's a national championship. So again, something has to go for being able to win on a collegiate level and being able to hopefully translate that to the pro level.
Can I just throw in another name that I've been seeing other Warriors pundits talk about, is Chris Duarte of Oregon.
Being on the
I don't
West
know
Coast,
too much about him. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't. The Oregon games come on late at night, so I'm not staying up to watch a lot of the Oregon games.
Okay, Rebecca, we lost you there. Go ahead.
You want to know what happened? Do you have a guess, Rich?
You ran out of batteries on the iPad.
Yep.
Well, we got you back on the iPhone.
It was plugged in, but Zoom uses a lot of battery.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was interesting because, one of the things we said at the beginning was, that a forward should probably be the priority over a guard. And then I looked at like 2 or 3 mock drafts, and all of them had us taking 2 guards.
The kid Book Knight and probably Kispert, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kispert, Moody, a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's like, and one has us taking Zaire Williams,
right,
from Stanford, but I can't see us taking another shooter. I mean, with what Jordan Poole has started to become.
Yeah, I just think the mindset should be insurance policies. Like, what?
Right, 100%. Which is why I think we need more of an insurance policy behind Draymond and James Wiseman and Looney.
Yeah, and that's why if you're going to go with a forward in that position, he has to have a high basketball IQ, and even to some degree be able to initiate the offense like Draymond can bring up the floor. But that's going to be a level of comfort they're going to have to grow into. So I would be fine going with the guard in the event, because you don't necessarily want to throw Clay to the Wolves just yet coming off that injury. You will still want to kind of ease him into playing, and not saying this guard is going to be just, the guy that's going to take Clay's spot, but just somebody that can provide an offensive punch besides besides Steph on the floor to ease the offensive burden. And the guys that they've had this past year, they did a phenomenal job. But you just never know what's going to happen with contraction with some of those guys, because not all those guys are under contract for the next season. If I'm not mistaken, there might be some.
Mulder is unguaranteed. Damian Lee's
A
not
lot of that
guaranteed.
bottom of the roster is non-guaranteed.
Yeah. And then they've got Jessup from Australia they're looking at, summer league, maybe he's a two-way. So yeah. So yeah, a lot of it is depth chart related. So that's a good thing for you to bring up, is like sort of insurance policy. But you were talking about Draymond, and I just, maybe we can go back, talk about the sexiness of this draft, because when I looked at Scotty Barnes and like Mike Schmitz, I love Mike Schmitz. He like sits down with the guys and you get to know Scotty some more, and then it's like the IQ is there. Man, if the Warriors only had number 6, but they don't. And can you talk about sort of how with the 7, Gabe and I talked about this, we don't really see a path where the Warriors can move up, because it seems like these 5 and then Scotty Barnes, the 6th guy, he looks like, the next, he looks like Draymond 2.0 coming up after Draymond retires,
Well,
We're
the one
stuck.
thing the one thing we have to keep into perspective, that these are mock drafts. This is just what we think, or the way it's going to go. Many a times a guy has dropped, and all of a sudden he's sitting in your lap with somebody who you didn't think was going to be there while you're picking. So there could be a chance that where maybe Scotty falls into the lap of the Warriors. Like drafting, it's such a tricky thing. And granted, it's football, but I love to watch the movie that Kevin Costner's in, Draft Day, because it's so similar to where just everything is just so haywire, but there's a level of excitement that's in the air as to what could be versus, whatever your game plan was going into it, and then going with your gut. So you just never know how things can really kind of happen on draft night. So I like Scotty. I mean, just in terms of the program he comes from Florida State, they just breed dogs. Like, they just have some hard-nosed, tough-nosed type of kids that just, one that can defend. If you can't defend for Leonard Hamilton, then you're probably not going to touch the floor very much. And so and they do a great job of just recruiting those kids that fit their program. And I like Scotty, to where you put him at the 4, or put him in that position where Draymond's at. He'd be a solid backup in terms of just once Draymond kind of fizzles out a little bit, because granted, he's got a lot of money on the books, but I don't see them, doing away with Draymond, because he's a staple of that organization. So, but he's definitely a guy that would flourish up under his mentoring. I think he's got to get better a little bit offensively, but just, won't necessarily be called to score. You can kind of just bring the ball up, initiate the offense, and take your shots here and there when you have them. But I do like Scotty Barnes just from the program and pedigree he comes from Florida State.
All right, it's 7:02 p.m. We've maximized your time. When do you got to go?
You guys let me know, man.
Oh man, okay. I know you got burning questions, Gabe. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, we've got some people, and I'm also super curious, given that he's often sort of in that range for the 7, in looking at book night. Sort of, I guess my questions about him, I mean, I would love to just hear you sort of talk about your thoughts on him, but also like the things that I'm curious about is like, how real is the shot? And is he sort of topping out at Jordan Clarkson, or do you see something more in a range of outcomes for him?
Yeah. When you said the shot, Doc, did you see the workout, the pro day? He was hitting everything. Draft Express had that.
In an empty gym.
I did.
Yeah, no, in an empty gym. Yeah.
I did catch a little bit of that, but the thing that I would caution with this young man is that, you can fill it up. But initially, if you have the pleasure or the opportunity to get drafted by the Warriors, that necessarily may not be your role off the bat. Like, you just can't come in and start jacking up shots. Like, no, that's not how we play right here. We move the ball, we move bodies. As long as you can kind of show that you can do that, you'll have a home here. But guys that can really fill it up, I just hate for them to just think, I've got to score in order to get on the floor, in order to get more minutes. Like, no, there are just so many different facets of the game that you could do to be a part of what we're trying to do and how we win. I just hope that he's able to kind of grasp the other concepts of what and how the Warriors play and how the Warriors win, to really be a part of that organization. Like I said, the kid can fill it up. Pretty good defender. But again, it's one of those cases where I don't want him to think score. That's what you got to do, especially when you're on the floor with Clay and Steph, like you're the third, maybe fourth option out there. Just be mindful of that, and want to see like more as how he'll be able to kind of handle. I see him more so playing maybe like more of a one, keeping Steph off the ball. And can you be that facilitator that when he's coming off those doubles and those down screens and like can you kind of hit him on the money where he needs to hit it to get that shot off? Like, can you be that facilitator other than just score? If you can do that and kind of show other aspects of the game, he's got a chance. But I just don't want him to think I gotta score every time he touches the ball, because all of a sudden now Clay and Steph are like looking like, yo, what is this kid doing out here? This is not what rookies do. You find a way to kind of be a part of the puzzle and help us win, and your opportunity is going to come, because again, you just never know when Clay may not be able to go one night or Steph may be out a night. Then you become that option. But I don't want him to think that I've got to be that guy coming in to compete for shots with Clay and Steph.
Yeah, and I know that obviously like his role at UConn was, he was the guy. Did you see any flashes in your scouting of him being, able to get the ball moving and facilitate more in that role?
No, I just the feel that I got from him was just like he was the guy that had to put the ball in the bucket. When it came to him, it was going up some sort of way. I didn't necessarily get that feel of facilitator, but just again, if this kid wants to get on the floor and get significant minutes, he's going to have to kind of take on that role to a degree. Like I said, if he finds himself on the floor with those other two guys, and he's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
And so as long as he can kind of check that ego at the door when he walks in, like, hey, I'm here to be a part of this organization. Whatever I need to do, I'm going to do it. But they know his talent. They're going to put him in positions to where he can succeed. They're going to be nights where Clay and Steph can't go. And like I said, again, when those nights happen, then hey, you're the guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. You probably don't have any intel on Sengun, right? He's international.
Nah, dude, nah.
Yeah. Okay.
A guy that I've had my eyes on at 7 and sort of have been enjoying watching tape on is Moses Moody.
Yeah.
And I know that the knock on him is like the thing keeping him from that top 6, it seems, is like sort of a lack of athleticism and maybe like go-to guy type of aggression. But what are your thoughts on him specifically within the Warriors? I feel like that shooting and that length is like a pretty solid like plug and play situation.
I think because of the style of play in which the Warriors play with, he fits the mold to a degree. Again, with the shooting, the length, the ability to kind of be able to be versatile on the defensive end, be able to switch out on the different perimeter wings that he may find himself guarding. But I think the biggest thing is that he will add shooting. So again, he's a guy that can kind of fit their system. Me personally, I'm a little bit partial to SEC guys because I played ball at Alabama, so I like those guys a little bit more because I just feel like just the level of competition and toughness that you face night in, night out, regardless if the guys at the bottom or this team's at the bottom of the SEC rankings or not, but just they tend to recruit a certain degree, a certain level type of athlete. And so he's a guy that I think that could fit in because of the shooting, because of the length, ability to guard. He's intriguing, but he's also a guy that I hope he's just not a one-trick pony, if that makes any sense, to where all you do is just shoot. So I just like guys that are able to bring a little bit more to the table other than that one component. Unless you're just a specialty, and that's just, that's just what you do. We're going to concede to that. We're going to drop stuff for you to do exactly what you do. We're not expecting anything else. But just as a rookie, yeah, you got to do more than just one thing on the floor, and particularly be able to guard your position. And if you can space the floor and kind of feel your way and kind of mature into a different role as you kind of continue to kind of get your feet wet on the NBA level. Like I said, I'm a little bit partial to SEC guys, so I do like Moody a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was turned on to him because I was trying to find the wingspan of like Zaire and people, and so I started looking down the list. Moses Moody, 7-foot wingspan, 6'5". I was like, wow. That's that type of length Kerr has talked about, over and over again during the season, especially like with a guy like Wiggins, let's say. I think the Warriors like length. So
yeah, I think those guys with length, particularly, they're able to defend. you're able to get in those passing lanes, get those passes that way we can kind of get out and play fast. And so when you've got those guys, with that type of like, I mean, people are talking about everything that Chris is doing in Phoenix and how well Booker's been, but like Bridges, that dude right
Bridges.
there, yeah. It's an automatic turnover if you're skipping the ball from one side of the floor to the other and he's over there.
Yeah.
He gets a chance to get it. He's shooting the passing lane and it's a transition, easy bucket. All right, let's get back on the, like, you've always got to be aware with guys with length like that. And so, and I can see why, you know, Kerr likes that guy where you've got that kind of length on the perimeter. You make it a little bit tougher on the passes, being able to shoot the gaps and get out and get easy buckets. So he can get down and get something where we ain't got to set up and run step off 3 screens. Let's go get a layup. Let's go.
And with the Bridges thing, you don't have to put Booker on PG. You put Bridges on PG. It takes a lot of pressure off your stars.
Most definitely.
So kind of Moody can kind of fit that 3-and-D type.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's that. So I think I'm torn between Wagner and Moody, and I don't know. So as far as
can we put you on the spot and have you say who you think the best fit at 7 would be?
The best fit at 7. Me, I just like size and length. And so if Moody is there over book night, I may take a shot at Moody because of that length. But again, when you've got that type of length on the perimeter, being able to get out and get easy, and not saying that book night can't, but I just like 6'5", 7-foot wingspan. Yeah, I'm going to take my chances with having that length on the perimeter where we're long at every position, except for Steph. But like if we can be long at every position, yeah, I would definitely take my chances with that.
Does Wagner count as that though? Because I did watch the condensed version of Michigan versus Florida State. And you know what I liked was just his skill and his fire. He has a lot of fire. Like he cares. Like he was upset when some guy when he had to close out and like it was wrong rotations. Like, wow, he's paying attention to those details. So between Moody and Wagner, you still pick Moody?
It's tough because I also like the basketball IQ that Wagner plays with as well.
Yeah.
And even in my experience in coaching the AAU team, I tell the guys, I will take a guys with high level basketball IQ over a team of athletes any day. We're just going to backdoor you. We're going to cut hard. We're going to do all the little things that you get tired of guarding, and we're going to wear you down. And so basketball IQ ranks really, really high with me. So it's tough. It's one of those things where I just put my hands on my eyes, throw a dart at the board, and whichever one it hits closest to, I will be comfortable taking.
Yeah.
Wagner looks like he's got more tools, like you said. Like he can do a little more with the ball in his hands, and Moody probably not as good a shooter, but both like pretty solid defensively. And like you said, I mean, his recognition off of reads and stuff is pretty high level.
Yeah, and it's also one of those cases, and I mean, there's so many different instances of where guys were called to play a certain role collegiately, and then once they got the opportunity to go to the NBA, they blossomed into something that, like, hold up, we didn't see this in college. Like, we didn't see this in Devin Booker when he was at Kentucky. No. But also you're playing with other guys that are going to get drafted as well. So again, once you're kind of forced into a role that you may not have been used to in college, and all of a sudden now, like, you're seeing other things that this kid can, brings to the table because now he's called on to do more than versus what he did in that collegiate system. So it's tough. It's a tough call sometimes.
Have you ever been in that draft room? Let us know how many years you've been in a draft room where you, even if it was like a late round, something where you were torn between guys, and how do you get through that? Is just a vote at that point?
Well, no, it's not necessarily. It's a vote. The scouts may be asked their opinion by either the owner or the GM or director of college scouting at the time, but then ultimately it's going to be the decision of the GM as to who they kind of go with. And there's just certain guys. Every scout kind of likes certain things in certain players. Me, I like those guys that are intense. They play defense. Like, I was a big fan of the kid Javon Carter that came out of West Virginia. Like, you playing with Bobby Huggins, and to be that type of player and him to sing your graces that way, like, you've done something to impress a legendary coach like Bob Huggins. And so to see him with Phoenix, I'm glad he's in that situation now, although he's not playing, but just he was a guy that I liked coming out. Like there's just some level of toughness about this kid that I absolutely love. And so every scout kind of has their own deal as to what they like, different personalities, different tools that every guy kind of brings to the table. So everybody's kind of different, but in terms of just who makes that decision, yeah, it always boils down to the GM as to what his gut is feeling at the time and who he feels will be best. Like he'll take the opinion of his staff, but it ultimately kind of falls on him as to who he's feeling or who he wants to go ahead and take that opportunity on.
Cool, great stuff. Okay, I haven't even really started my draft research. I rely on you guys, like you, Doc, and Babcock Hoops, and yeah, tell us more about Babcock Hoops and what you do like daily.
Well, for me in my role with Babcock Hoops, just it's funny how Matt and I got connected because I've known his dad and his uncles that have worked in the industry for quite some time. And so then once I finished my role with the Pelicans in New Orleans, I relocated back to Atlanta. And then I saw somewhere where he put something online. And so I reached out to Matt, like, hey, if you need an extra set of eyes, look at players, evaluations, whatever, hey, just let me know. I'm here. And so he responded back. He's like, hey, Doc, hey, man, my dad speaks the world of you, man. And sure, I would love for you to help me out anytime that I needed something. So we'll get on conference calls and we'll talk. And he's like, hey, I need some more information on this prospect. Let me know what you think. Can you write up an article on the guy, something like that? And so I'll put some stuff together, send it to him, edit it, and then we'll just kind of put that stuff out on the Babcock Hoops. But Matt's great, very knowledgeable guy. Just in this industry, I would say he's one of the elite because of just he knows his stuff, great relationship with people, just an all around good guy. As much as I hate to say it, you got some guys in this industry, maybe not so good, but with Matt, he always keeps it 100. Like I said, he's been great for me, just allowing me to kind of help out in any way possible, continue to kind of work on my scouting skills. And so just he's been really good for me. And so he's one of those guys you just continue to root for because he does it the right way.
I thought very smart of basketballnews.com to pick up Matt as their resident draft expert. And then what was even better is that Basketball News, they really like made their website really good. Like you go and there's the draft and it's like laid out for you, highlights right then and there. You have to, go Google around. It's kind of like right there for you.
Yeah.
So perfect match on that one, I think, and really like a tour de force as far as reputable draft boards. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in that, and it gets a little confusing, and so many people saying this, that, so many draft boards. That's why anytime we talk with people, with Warriors fans, we just go Babcock and Draft Express and NBA Draft. Those three, you can't go wrong. Like one time I was in the Warriors. They'll probably do something by Zoom this year, but back in the day, like the last one was when they drafted Jordan Poole. They invite you over to the facility, so we got a little media section, and they gave us here, give us your predictions, and the winner gets these like JBL headphones, right? So what I do is I go, okay, I'm gonna copy NBA Draft. I didn't know about Babcock back then.
Yeah.
And I won. And it was because I trusted guys that have been doing this for decades, like not a decade, literally 2 decades.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate all that you guys are doing. And
thank you. One of
that brand name is coming up, Babcock.
One of the things I'll say about the Warriors organization, I remember when in New Orleans and we were playing the Warriors in the playoffs, and just from top to bottom, just in terms of how they treat their employees, like is bar none, probably the best in the organization, where you're able to take these people that have worked so hard for you all year long, selling sponsorships, selling tickets, and then you fly those individuals to the playoff games and give them such. I don't know what gifts they got, but I heard they were pretty nice gifts that they got from the owners. So just again, it's just one of those cases when you've got these people working that hard for you, you got to take care of it. And by far, the organization probably does the best job in doing it. And so it's just good to see those guys that are behind the scenes that are making everything happen, that are being appreciated by the owners. So just again, you guys got a great organization.
I don't know if you heard, but Bob Myers was. I was going back through the draft lottery interview that he had, and hopefully we'll have, if I have time, to splice those up for the Warriors fans. But one interesting, funny tidbit was he said back in the day when they drafted Harrison Barnes eventually at 7. Harrison, they had to fly out to New York to see Harrison work out. And Bob said, I think back then we probably didn't have the brand name that we have now. So I think they've done a pretty good job since then, where guys will be more than happy to come over to Chase and work out for you rather than the other way around. Plus you got, 3 Hall of Famers on the squad. So I think that's one thing that's to the Warriors' advantage right now is that you come to the Warriors, you're going to get taken care of in all facets.
Yeah, you've got great people in leadership roles. Steve Kerr. I remember when he was in Phoenix, and somehow we ended up on the same plane with together. And I'm not sure where in the world we were going, but he was across the aisle from me. Super, super nice guy.
Oh yeah,
super nice guy. So again, when you've got guys like that in leadership, I mean, you can't help but have success.
Do you remember what you guys talked about?
I don't, but I just remember him being very, very nice. This is when I think he was the GM at the time for Phoenix.
He was probably a little stressed out back then.
Probably so.
All right, cool, Doc. Anybody else got anything? I think we have just really been so blessed to have you just share all your knowledge about all these draftees, all these draft guys, and amazing stuff.
I
love
appreciate
it.
the opportunity, guys.
Yeah, even way back in the day when the Warriors weren't winning, the only thing that people clicked on was the draft, and it'd be the next who's next, Ekpe Udo, and then you had the Todd Fullers, and that's then we would have 15 wins in 82 games, and so now at least there's a little bit more like real excitement here, like we can really improve this team and all that. So appreciate you reinforcing that today for us.
No problem, guys. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Say hello to Matt for us.
I will do.
Try to get him on, but he's superstar status now.
He's busy. He's a busy man now. He's a busy man these days.
Yeah. No, but we're so lucky to have you as a resource. And so keep up the good work. And anytime we can help you out, just let me know.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
So you're based out of, one more time, you're based out of Atlanta right now?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, then we'll let you get to sleep. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Where are we with the Phoenix, Milwaukee, Rebecca?
Halftime. We're right coming back. It's perfect.
Yeah, second half's about to start. Phoenix is up 8. Giannis had a wild chase down block.
Free throws have been a big part of it. Phoenix has 12 of 12. Milwaukee's only had a couple. Booker's been getting to the line pretty easily. But I also wasn't watching that closely because we're
Yeah, one of the big things is Milwaukee is switching just about everything. So they keep having the matchup of either Brook Lopez on Booker or CP3, and they're just hitting right in their face. Yikes, Jay Crowder. That's the thing with Jay Crowder. He's either on or way off.
Yeah.
that
frustrates me.
Look good.
But yeah, that very well, him playing for Miami.
Yeah. he could have been better for us
Oh.
in the finals.
Yeah.
Big shot with.
He was
yeah.
great in the playoffs, and then the finals he kind of quieted.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I keep going back and forth between Moody and Wagner, Gabe, and I just feel like they want to see what they can do with Wagner. You know, I don't know.
yeah, I feel
Not
like
that I
Wagner
want one or
in
the
some
other. It's
ways,
what I think they'll do.
I think he fits the Warriors system in a lot of ways, but he might also have a lower. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm sure they'll work them both out and they'll have a feeling for them.
Yeah. So today, Jason Juma.
Sheesh, Chris Paul.
Oh, that was nice.
You okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He's taken one of those clutch breaks on the ground for a second. He and LeBron are really good at that. Just taking a breather when they need
So
to.
is Jimmy
That's
Butler.
total landing space.
Yeah, him too.
Oh, he rolled his ankle a little.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't just
Oh.
yeah, he was grabbing his
That's
ankle.
our rule.
Yeah, but that was even worse than Zaza.
Yeah, I
that
don't want to
might
talk
be
about it.
so tough as a defender. I feel.
Oh, you know what I was going to
the
say
depth
about
of
Wagner,
that.
going back to that?
Oh my
You
god, they're
know-
actually reviewing it for a flagrant.
Yeah. Oh, hey, there's the Zaza.
It's the Zaza rule. They have to now.
Oh, they pulled up Zaza. That's the I mean, that's why they
Who
made
pulled
the
up Zaza?
You know what makes me feel like going back to Wagner versus Moody? You know why I feel like they want to pick Wagner is because they picked Smiley. You know, not the most athletic guy, thought they could do some stuff with him. Not that Wagner's Smiley is way better than Smiley.
He's a much better passer than Moody, I think. That speaks to Warriors system, but
I haven't seen Moody highlights and stuff yet, but is he pretty freakishly athletic?
No, he's pretty middle of the road athletic. I mean, that's really the thing.
Oh, really?
From my reading, is why he's not like a top 6 pick.
Yeah.
Is because it, but again, it's sort of like my thinking for the 7th pick is like, we can't be thinking about whether or not this guy is going to be a star for sure or not, because 7th picks are erratic. Like half of them
Harrison Barnes.
And I think, like, honestly, Barnes is not a bad comp for Moody in a lot of ways. Whereas, like, I don't think he's ever going to be this like big time scorer, but I think he can be a really good starter on a team. Like, I think he can just be a player who fits next to stars.
Do you have do you have a comp for him? Someone in the NBA like him now?
Yeah, I think somebody like Jay Crowder is actually a pretty good example. I think, Moody can probably be better if he's, if he hits some higher thresholds, but that type of player where he's just like a high level shooter, he can guard 1 through 4 and he can make smart decisions. You're hoping at 7 that there's a higher ceiling than that, and there is, but I think that's like the mold of player that you're looking at. Mikal Bridges is another better example, maybe.
That was a good play by Bridges.
Yeah, Phoenix is really getting a lot of what they want here. Milwaukee's getting.
I feel like that. With the 2018 draft being what it was, I feel like the 2017 draft is very underrated.
Who's 2017 again?
Yeah.
Tatum. Tatum. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Tatum. De'Aaron Fox had Malik Monk in it, who's had some good and some bad. Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo. John Collins. I could have sworn that was the draft with Dylan Brooks, my favorite.
Rebecca's personal legend, Dylan Brooks.
I guess then what year was Markel? I mean,
No, that was that year.
Markel
Markel Fultz was number 1.
yeah, no, that was that year. What year was Mikal Bridges? He must have been 2018 then.
Yeah, he's only played 2-3 years.
But I mean,
Sixers have to be just really upset at themselves about that one. They picked him and then flipped him draft night for a second rounder and Zaire Smith, who hasn't played a day in the league.
and they could have had Tatum.
Yeah, they could have had Tatum, and then they could have had Bridges in like consecutive drafts that they flubbed.
I mean, the 2018 draft was a strong draft overall. I mean, there's really only one guy in the top 5 that hasn't really done anything. And when you like even look at the top,
Who's that?
The lottery. I mean, your lottery was Ayton, Bagley, Doncic, Jaren Jackson, Trae Young, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr., Colin Sexton, Kevin Knox, Mikal Bridges, SGA, Miles Bridges, Jerome Robinson, and Michael Porter Jr. And then later in that draft, you had DiVincenzo and Herter.
Wow.
Devontae Graham in the second, Mitchell Robinson in the second.
2018?
Yeah. Jalen Brunson in the second. A lot of really
Gary
good
Trent
players.
Jr.
Yeah.
Who did we get?
We got Jacob Evans.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean,
I
picked 28. I'm never.
Yeah. You could say that all those names you just rattled off.
Yeah.
There's
only a couple of them. Yeah. Only a couple of them that were available, and whatever. At 28, I don't care. It was whatever.
I mean, looking at that top 14, though, really only Mo Bamba, Bagley, Knox, and Jerome Robinson and Miles Bridges didn't really ever do anything.
Miles Bridges shot 50, 40, 90 at starting for Charlotte this year. I mean, he's not like going to be a star.
Oh, that's Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
That actually, never mind. Take him off
He
that
was
list.
a really solid pick at
I was trying to think who that was because it says drafted by the Clippers. I'm like, who?
They flipped him for Gilgeous-Alexander. So they flipped 11 and 12.
Got it. So really, it's Knox, Jerome Robinson, Bamba, and Bagley.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, that's like a lot of depth, and also the high-level outcomes of a lot of those guys are skyrocketing.
And I mean, Jaren Jackson's had some injuries, but I still have really high on him.
Phenomenally good player, just can't stay healthy.
Yeah. And then Wendell Carter Jr. started to come into his own a little bit too.
He's fine, right? Yeah, you're not sad about having.
I mean, he's probably not a 7 pick,
yeah.
But he's not terrible. Probably one of the biggest disappointments of that one was outside of Bagley and Mo Bamba, Kevin Knox.
Yeah, he's just been nothing.
I don't even know where he is anymore.
He's still in New York.
He's still in New York?
Yeah.
Who'd they trade? Oh, Dennis Smith Jr. is the one that they traded out.
Yeah. But yeah, to get Ayton, Trae, Luka, like that's insane.
And Bob Myers was saying I got to post these on our YouTube, but he was saying how they think this is a very deep draft. So I'm glad you brought up 2018 because maybe that's what they think it's like.
Yeah, and I think like Mikal Bridges is a good example to be thinking about because, I remember following that draft somewhat, not anywhere near as I have been these last couple because the Warriors weren't going to be involved.
Speaking of Bridges.
Yeah. But like Bridges, he was like a really good player. He played for a winning program at Villanova. He was never really discussed in the top of that draft, but he was going to be a lottery pick. And Philly takes him at 10 and then ditches him for a sort of a trade down. And I think part of the knock a lot on him was just there wasn't like a star. Like he didn't have, he wasn't going to like take you off the dribble and be a go-to scorer or anything. But it was a really big underrating of what it means to be a high level role player, right? Like not everybody is going to be a star, and some teams already have a star.
God, you look at the 2015 and 16 drafts in comparison to 17, 8, and 18. I swear, it's like literally out of the top 15, okay, maybe 16, there were actually like 5 good players that came out of the 2015. You had Towns, D'Lo, Porzingis, I can't even. Miles Turner, Booker, Campaign, Oubre, and Terry Rozier went. So Oubre and Rozier were 15 and 16, Campaign 14, Devin Booker 13, Turner 11. And then outside of that, like, that's such a terrible draft class. Freaking Frank Kaminsky went number 9. Or Emmanuel Mudiay at number 7.
I mean, I think it's worth looking here, just thinking about the Warriors in mind, of course, that like the draft is just a big crapshoot every year. I mean, you hope that you're one of the people who doesn't, you're not necessarily going to be the guy who took Jokic 41 or whatever and like had some crazy home run like that, but there's lottery picks that don't work every year. So you really just got to hope you get somebody who's going to be a really high level rotation guy at the very least. But
so you think the Mikal Bridges of this draft could be like Moody, or is it somebody else?
Yeah, I think somebody like that. I mean, I think that whole 7 through 14 range, there's a lot of that type of guy who like may not have crazy star upside, but is going to be a solid role player. I think Moody and Wagner can both be high level role players. That's what kind of worries me about Bouknight and is why people are slotting him in at 7 or 8, is because I think he has this like Zach LaVine outcome where he becomes like this high level 3-level scorer who could be your, he's not, I don't think he's ever going to be like the best player on a title team, but like he could be a focal point of an offense if he hits this like high level outcome. But he could also just be a gunner who never really fits on a winning team. And that worries me a lot. Whereas I think guys like Moody and Wagner, they may never be the all-star, but I don't see any way they fail entirely,
And that gets back to, it was in the chat, best player available. So yeah, I think Bouknight might be like best player available, but it's like that's you're on a you're at Rucker Park and you need to pick these okay, let's pick Bouknight first. Aside from the top 6, right? Who do you pick? Okay, but that's not, the Warriors have the luxury of not being forced to pick the BPA.
Yeah, and I think that this is sort of what I was getting at with Doc and what he was saying too, is that like I think the luxury of this draft at 7 is that there isn't a best player available. Like I think every expert is ranking that whole group of guys totally differently. And so if you're the Warriors, there isn't that pressure of like, well, we have to take Bouknight because he's obviously the best lottery ticket at 7, right? And I think it gives them some freedom to be like, well, we actually just think Wagner's the best player at this spot, and he also is a good fit, or or Moody or Jalen Johnson or whatever, right? Whoever the guy is that they're evaluating, there isn't going to be this huge blowback because, like, I don't think there's any pressure on them in a lot of ways because whoever they take, as long as it's a guy who's in that reasonable set of that group, right? Nobody's going to be like, how the heck did they ever, make that decision, right? Whereas if they had like really loved Tyrese Halliburton, for instance, last year, they couldn't take him at 2. And we talked about this last year, even if he was the guy that they liked the most, because there's all this pressure of, taking the best player available. And Wiseman has this bigger upside.
Yeah. Oh, man. While you were talking, everything that you said is so on point. Lost my train of thought, but see if I can get it back. Best player available. Yeah, so a lot of draft boards, you just never know what they're thinking. Like some draft boards might be thinking of need. Some draft boards know what the Warriors probably prefer, and some are just going by best player available. But one thing that Bob Myers also did say at the draft lottery night is that they really like to find a guy who can integrate well, and that down the line, the personality thing doesn't become an issue, because down the line, if the personality thing is an issue, then it's very hard to fix that down the line. So you're probably you're probably looking for, like just like Doc said, like if you pick book night, is he going to be okay with, you're not going to get green light under Kerr right away from day one, which is also kind of like last year why we sort of didn't pick LaMelo. So there's kind of that too, that people got to take into account when we make this number 7 pick.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting, though.
I mean, having 2 picks, and obviously we'll see about the whatever possible trades may emerge by then. It's very plausible that we won't have 2 picks. But at least starting from that point, like, you can address 2 needs, and since that range of guys is pretty fluid, people were talking, Haram Kim in the chat here was sort of thinking about whether Moody might even drop to 14, and I was like, probably not, but you never know. And so you might get a guy who drops to you at 14, and then you can hit 2 big swings. And at the very least, there's going to be guys like Duarte and these sort of like lower upside, higher floor guys that won't go 7 or 8, 9 or 10, but it'll be sitting around there at 14. So I'm excited about it. I hope we have some clarity around like what type of trades are going to be available soon and stuff, because it's all so hypothetical. I just saw the Chronicle just ran a thing about how much the Warriors want Kevin Love. Rusty Simmons just wrote a whole article about that.
Does he have sources?
I didn't read it yet. I just saw the headline, but
Rusty doesn't really have sources on those, but
I assume it's like a buyout is the idea there, because he's still under a huge contract for Cleveland, but it's not subtle that he wants out, so maybe there's a buyout option, but I don't know. Anyways, point is, there's just so many like hypotheticals. Yeah, Kevin Love.
Oh, and
meanwhile,
we could talk
Suns are cooking.
The 2 picks thing, I don't know. When I look at the depth chart, I would prefer not to have 2 picks. I would prefer only to have 1, but it will depend on the market.
Yeah.
So we'll see. What about you? Are you thinking that too? Like, hopefully?
Yeah, I think ideally, we've talked about this before off live chats and stuff, like running 2 more rookies into their roster crunch seems really tough, especially, 2 lottery picks. Like, if one of your rookies that year is like, an end of the first round or second round pick, like you can put that guy in the G League or something, and it's like, not that big of a deal. But 2 top 14 picks, like those guys are going to play minutes, and rookies are notoriously bad at helping good teams win. And that's tough to work 2 guys in. Wiseman's, had half a season, so he's still
basically a rookie, kind of.
Yeah,
rookie and a half.
And so, I don't love the idea of 3 really, really young players getting, serious rotation minutes. I think you got to keep one of those picks unless some crazy, opportunity emerges, because adding a cheap, young, good player is like really important. But 2 seems like a lot for this season.
And that's the other reason why I don't see Wiseman getting traded, is having a young player on a rookie contract, that's like a really good asset.
That's what I keep trying to explain to people.
Yeah.
But they're like, they're like, well, if there wasn't some kind of possibility to it, then Woj wouldn't have tweeted it.
Oh God.
Of course there is a possibility. But
I mean, it is a possibility. I just don't see the upside of it. I mean, looking at Art Hoops Hype, guys, we're going into what, the 2021-22 season? Is that right? So we have Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond on the books guaranteed as well. And those are like I guess we have our 3 untouchables. Then we have Wiggins, Wiseman, Looney, Poole, Damian Lee, Juan. I love how Sean Livingston's still on here.
Yeah, we're still paying his stretch salary.
Pascal. So that's 10. Then add in
only $667K though. It's not that much for Sean Livingston.
No, I just think it's funny. I look at the depth chart or the salary cap thing, and he's there. And then you add in technically Smiley's on the books, as is Gary Payton.
There's no way we're.
Yeah, I know. As is Gary Payton and Mulder and Pascal.
There's no way. We don't have room for these guys. We're trying to bring in vets.
Yeah, a few of them are gone.
Mulder won't be here. Damian will probably, Damian has the best chance because he's buddies with, he's Steph's brother-in-law, and you can't do anything about that. It also depends who else.
If Bazemore is fine with a vet minimum again, I think he probably comes back. He fit pretty well.
Yeah, that's the one where he wants a longer term. So
yeah, and is he fine with like 3 years?
Okay, minimum, long term.
Yeah, is he fine with years at the minimum? In which case, sure, I don't mind.
Sure, right? Yeah. It depends on the market, and none of us can predict that. Like, does he get a sweet? I don't know. Whatever. Go back to Atlanta.
I don't know. I mean, he's in an interesting position because he plays the position, and he's kind of almost a guy who is like one of the most valuable.
Almost. Exactly.
Like he's almost a 3-and-D guy who would be commanding, tens of millions of dollars, but he's
sometimes pimping in the parking lot.
Yeah, he's not quite good enough at
not quite the full pimp yet.
Yeah.
Sitting in the corner.
Yeah, so it's like, is somebody going to give him MLE money? Maybe, I don't know. He's not going to be top of anybody's list, so it'll just we'll see how it flips.
It's so funny. We got to root for him not to get paid so that he can remain a Warrior.
Yeah. Draymond
is 15 plus 2 two-way?
Right.
Yep. 2 two-ways. And you figure Jessup, with his high upside, you kind of pencil him in for one of those 2 ways because you don't want to lose him. Yeah. And you don't want to pay him a full guaranteed, right? So.
And then they've got questions about what to do with Nico, and there's a lot of like roster crunch issues that Myers has.
Oh gosh, yeah, poor Nico. I was discussing this with Jeffrey Taylor, who's the play-by-play guy for FIBA. He was out in Belgrade, and the reason why Nico dropped like a stone on the roster is because he had those deer in the headlight moments, those 2 deer in the headlight moments. And it's just such a thin line in the NBA. He could have been a lock for a 2-way if he just hadn't fumbled the ball on the fast break twice.
It's so tough for guys who are on that thin line, like you said, because they only get so many opportunities. And if, everyone makes mistakes, Steph throws a number of just incredibly stupid passes a game, but he gets 38 minutes to make a bunch of other plays, you know.
Yeah.
Phoenix, by the way, has pulled away for a 20-point lead right now. Middleton's trying to pull Bucks back in with these deep threes, but
they're so talented.
yeah, Phoenix they're just really deep. Like they've got so many good players.
That's why I said Phoenix in 5, but
yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know,
you never know what happens.
Yeah, we know better than to think about one game as meaning anything significant, but it's a big confidence boost for the young Phoenix kids.
I want to root for Milwaukee, but I'm in that mode where like it'll be harder. Phoenix will be less hungry if they just win it this year. And they're so talented that I want them to be not as good as this year, next year. So that means less hunger, and just maybe that will help the Warriors. But while we're saying poor Nico on the NBA contract front, he is having a whale of a Olympics experience with Team Italy. So wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing what
he
well. Needs to do.
He's such a good fit for that international style, and the number of shooters and bucket getters at the international level that Italy has. And then you throw Nico in, who can just drive to the hoop right by your average European guy. A really good fit for him. Like, you couldn't ask for a better setting. That's like him going to G League all over again.
Yeah.
Do you think we keep Mulder?
No. Just because the assumption is clear out some spots, maybe get a.
Do we keep Pascal?
Iguodala type? I don't know. At that veteran minimum.
Pascal's guaranteed, so the question is only.
And he's super cheap, 1.7 million or whatever, 2 million.
The only reason we wouldn't keep him, in my mind, is just he's part of some bigger package that.
Exactly.
Out.
Yeah. Because also Pascal, being the 15th guy, 13th, 14th, 15th guy, in my opinion, he's a pretty damn good 13th, 14th, 15th guy
to
have as insurance.
So, it's going to be.
You're writing
it's
out the
backwards, right?
Yeah, your digital background is messing us up here.
Here, I'll just cover my camera so that you guys can't see my room.
Who else do we talk about? You know what really sucks is Team Canada and Wiggins losing. They would have been in the same pool as USA. So we would have had like Wiggins versus KD. But no, we won't get that anymore. It sucks. But that's what happens in international play. You know, we've seen that before with Team USA. The Czech team has so much chemistry, and it doesn't matter what kind of talent. I mean, yeah, it does matter. If you have KD, that can probably overcome any chemistry issues. But would have been nice to see Wiggs. He made a clutch shot to send the game into overtime. I don't think a lot of people saw that.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't even bother to put that on our Instagram. I need to, but I've been a little preoccupied with my time lately.
Yeah, surprising that Canada didn't make it.
Oh, they look so good.
They have. They're missing a couple people for sure, but
that too. Yeah. Oh, you know who looked really good was RJ Barrett, 6'7", playing point. So I looked it up, and the Knicks had him playing point for a little stretch. And hey, you never know.
Yeah, he's still got all those tools that got him third.
Yeah. And Lou Dort was doing Lou Dort things.
Oh.
I love those guys, Lou Dort, Terrence Mann. They're just it's like a new class of NBA player where they're undersized, but they're everywhere. They're just able to get on any spot on the floor.
Well, it's like Doc was saying, you know, like effort is a real skill. and
Yeah.
it keeps people in the league who maybe are lacking some skill levels in shooting or other things. To answer your question, Haram down there, Bell was a two-way non-guaranteed situation. He's not going to come back. Peyton Jr.'s same situation. So I think Peyton Jr. was on. He's on non-guaranteed for next year, right?
Yeah.
I think. So they need to decide what to do with him. Again, another guy who like I wouldn't hate at the end of your bench, but like we're starting to fill up with, hey, I wouldn't hate to have that guy at the end of my bench, guys. And at some point you need like, I want that guy in the game, guys. So we'll see if the roster crunch squeezes those guys or not.
All right, that's what I mapped out as the roster, what it looks like. Obviously, the latter half of it is all kind of question marks. Really, from like, I say you have 10 guys that are pretty much there for certain, barring any huge trade. You have Steph, Clay, Dre, Wiggs, Wiseman, Looney, JP, JTA, Damian, and Pascal.
Do you have Oubre in there?
I have him on the bottom, but he's a
question mark.
question mark.
I mean, so we haven't really talked about that. To me, it's a no-brainer. You go out and sign the guy. You have bird rights so you can give him bigger raises than other teams. You sell him, you sell the hell out of him. You just say, other than saying, okay, you'll start, because let's be realistic, right, Clay? But then you could also say that, hey, look, we don't know if Clay's going to be 100% on day one. We want him to be 100% in March. That's the goal. So you never know.
Well, I think you say that, and then you bring up the Andre Iguodala part of the Warriors. Like, you know, we've had incredible six men play for us.
I think you have to sign him so you have the option to move that salary around and trade for another guy, or right. I mean,
I was gonna say, I think like I feel for Kelly because I wanted him to work, but like I think honestly, it might just be a matter of like we need that salary bail, and it's kind of shady to do it this way. Yeah, but maybe you promise him a big contract and then you just try to ship it out later, because right now it because he's not signed, you can only move him in a sign and trade, which is super hard to do, and not, you don't have as many options. Because otherwise he's just a lost, they don't get that salary back.
Exactly. That's the part a lot of fans don't understand, is if we lose Oubre, we can only replace him with a veterans minimum because we're over the cap.
Yeah.
I'd love to bring Oubre back. I think he can even get better, and I think, he was starting to get better before he hurt his hand, and I think, more time off, more practice with these guys, I think, he'll get even better. So I'd love to keep the guy.
And there's just no upside
on my depth chart.
But I think it's, unfortunately the ball is really in his court, and I totally understand if he feels like he could have a bigger role on another team. And if New York, who's been sort of rumored at looking at him, if New York is like, we're offering you a starting role and $20 million a year, like, he's going to take that, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Then you could, if you're Myers, you could go, okay, look, I'm Bob Myers and I can do deals. I don't know. We'll get you to New York, but sign with us, but we'll get you to New York. That kind of thing, maybe.
But why would he do that? There's no incentive for him. If he can just sign outright with New York, then he doesn't need to play around with us.
Yep, I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah. Okay.
I'd like to
so it's 50-50.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I mean, the advantage in terms of that sort of thinking for us is that, it's a two-edged sword, is that he didn't show enough last year where I don't know if I throw a big contract at him if I'm some other team, right? If I'm New York and
Oh,
we
yeah,
have an
that helps
incoming
us.
young group, like, do I want to saddle a big chunk of my salary cap with Oubre, who looked like maybe good, but you're still very unclear after what we saw last year? So that might help us out in keeping his market limited to a point where we can keep him.
Okay, so if New York offered him 20 million, Gabe, if you're like all right, 21 million, fine, let's do it. And then
Yeah, I don't know.
no,
I
then
mean,
it is up to Oubre to pick. Because
yeah.
then he might know, oh, you're probably gonna trade me, or I don't know.
I mean,
Now
I'm never gonna
both.
care what money Lacob is paying, but like, it's not my money. He can spend however he wants. But there's a limit, right? Like, we will hit a limit on his willingness to spend. And so far, we've been blessed to have an owner who's just thrown money at good teams and hasn't, shied away from that tax bill. But eventually, there is going to be an upper threshold that he will not let us go. And Bob Myers has talked about that too. Yeah, Rebecca, that's that tweet that I was talking about, that Rusty Simmons thing that I said.
Oh, I totally missed you saying that.
I
don't hate the idea of a Kevin Love.
Sure. If he's on a minimum off a buyout, like, sure, why not?
I like Kevin Love a lot. I mean, obviously there's history, but I don't dislike the guy. I actually really respect him.
Him and Clay are friends. We got that
He's
going.
one of the guys I respect most in the league. Just with the type of guy
recruiting, Clay.
And
also, the article,
I
just opened it. Sorry, you can continue. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just the type of guy he is, I really respect. So, I mean, I would not hate moving him, bringing him in. I mean, I've thought about that kind of combination for a while. So I don't mind that. I mean, I obviously prefer Kevin Love as a competitor than Danny Green.
Yeah,
where did the rumor come from?
So the article is saying, it says that the Warriors have been, blah, blah, blah. That's just sort of old news. It says there's growing sentiment around the league that Love is going to negotiate a buyout with Cleveland and sign a veteran minimum contract with a contender this year, with one of the options being the Warriors.
But who sourced that? Was that Woj or?
It's just in Simmons's article with no attribution.
Man.
He also says, though, in there, and he has some quotes from Kevin Love about it, that he and Draymond have become friends over the years, and they're together in the USA camp, so and playing with USA together. So there's some ideas about maybe that recruitment happening. But yeah, Love said, obviously with Draymond, it's a love-hate relationship, but we've become actually pretty close friends over the past few years.
Wait, Rusty Simmons got a quote from Kevin Love?
It sounds like it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna link. I know it's obviously just a little thing, but like, I think this is when I searched that up about Kevin Love and the Warriors, this is one of the first things that came up. That, like, the kind of vibe of them on the court together. I mean, you can tell they're, a lot of guys will dap each other up, but they won't, quite do it that way. Jeez, who was that? Is that Campaign?
Wow. Did we post this Chronicle one in the Discord yet?
No, I can throw that in there.
So you saw that straight from Rusty?
Yeah, I just saw it on Twitter.
Wow, good job, Rusty. Rusty's my guy. One of my favorites, the guy that probably I've known the longest. Used to be on the Warriors beat. So I'm happy that he got this quote. That's big. That's big. And he's not even the main Warriors guy anymore because of a health condition that prevented him from going on the road anymore. So I felt bad for Rusty on that. So it was good to see him get this story.
Yeah.
I hope he gets aggregated. Doesn't seem like he's getting aggregated at the moment, which
not
is
yet.
not fair.
He just tweeted it during the game, so
Come
people
on, Bleacher Report. Where
distracted.
you at, man? Come on, clutch points.
But yeah, certainly wouldn't mind Love at the minimum. Adds a vet, adds a shooter, adds a.
I love Love. I am so into guys that you're getting on cheap contracts. I just like that excites me. Getting Kevin Love on a minimum, that's unfair.
Well, and I mean, we saw what Blake Griffin did after he left.
Yep.
I mean, like Kevin Love, he has some good games and some bad games, you know, and there are definitely videos of him that obviously show he has no interest being in Cleveland anymore.
Yeah, but he threw the ball
away, yeah, 100%. So
slapped the ball out of somebody's hands the other time too.
Yeah, so I mean, 100%. There's question and knowing he doesn't want to be there anymore, and I don't think you get someone that's going to trade for him at that price. At 32 years old, but then we see guys like everyone thought Blake Griffin was done. And then he shows up in Brooklyn and is a different player.
I know where this is from. It's July 6th. This is from training camp day 1. So, shit. I wasn't given the link for this. I got to contact Team USA. They let me, forgot about me. I even contacted them. This is big. I just really, he's going to give up 30 million to play. I don't know. I don't know. Would you do that if you're Kevin Love? Why not just
we saw Blake Griffin do it.
He has a ring already. Why would you give up? Why would you give up, like, even if you got him on MLE, why would you give up $25 million?
I feel like you already have so much money that, and I'll say this based on
I gotta
my experience and the type of guy he at least appears to be. My guess is being in a city that he does not want to be, in a place he does not want to be anymore, with how open he is about his mental health. I'm sure it's not good for his mental health to be somewhere and obviously not want to be there and be with a team that obviously has no chance to compete. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of money, but he also has endorsement deals. He's made a lot of money in his past. I feel like he's the kind of guy that would rather put, at least like me seeing it as a spectator, he's the kind of guy that seems like he would put his own happiness and stuff over money.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, especially when he's looking at probably the last, 5 years of his career or whatever. But I don't know. But that also could mean that he wants to milk the last cents out of his big deal. I don't know. By the way, we hadn't noticed, but the game is only 9 points now. Bucks
I've noticed.
Well, I should say we haven't commented. The Bucks have gone on a big push to get back in the game here. Giannis just making his presence felt down there. Kind of a quiet game for him, but effective.
There you go, Book. Also forget that after Clay, Kevin Love has the most points scored in a quarter. Good play defensively by Ayton. He scored 34.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that against?
I don't know. It was some
I don't know.
random regular
The Kings. That'd be funny, huh?
Wouldn't be shocking. Oh, man. The Chris's getting into it.
So as I read, you stepped out there, Gabe, but as I read Rusty's I should text Rusty right now. As I read Rusty's story, it occurred to me that today was the first day of USA training camp, and that's probably where he got the quote.
I bet.
And
It
so,
was against the Blazers.
arg. Team USA told me they would give me the Zoom links, but they might have forgotten about me. Sucks.
Oof, that Chris Paul mid-range.
Yeah. And this series has some of the most just terrifying mid-range guys. Middleton, Booker, and Paul. Middleton is, when he gets in a groove, man, he can score from everywhere. Jay Crowder shied away from that.
Not that time.
Yeah, a little open there.
The ABC website is awful.
Not sure what Bryn Forbes thinks he's doing there.
Cam Johnson.
Yeah, Bucks exerted a ton of energy getting back in the game. Those last few possessions, they've looked really sloppy. Like they're just kind of flailing around. Sometimes, you see that when teams are down big and have a big push, that sometimes they wear themselves out getting back in. See if they can close it up or if Phoenix can run away at this point.
Yep.
Booker hasn't even shot very well.
No, Booker's not having a great game. He has a lot of points because he's done a great job getting to the free throw line, but he hasn't shot the ball well.
Crowder's 0 for 8. That finals curse.
I'm telling you, he chokes in the finals.
And yeah,
Okay.
Giannis with a quiet 17 and 14. Only shot 11 shots.
CP3 has an almost triple-double.
Yeah, he's been solid. Wait, what's the triple?
I think rebounds.
He has 3 rebounds.
What did I see that made it look like that?
He almost has a double-double.
What the hell did they show on the TV?
Number of field goal attempts? I don't know.
No, I'm really confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's really confusing. Maybe his playoff record? That doesn't make sense either. Here, hold on. I gotta go back and figure out
Well,
what the hell it was.
regardless, having a good game. Regardless of whether it's a Russell Westbrook trademark good game or if it's just an actual good game, he's playing well.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, balanced game from Phoenix. Milwaukee really running a lot of offense through Middleton, which has been mostly pretty successful, but they need more from Holiday and they need more from Giannis. Good Brook Lopez game. If Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy are yelling about analytics and the mid-range right now, I'm going to lose my mind. One of my biggest pet peeves is analysts on national TV pretending that somehow analysts think that like Kevin Durant shooting mid-range jumpers is a bad shot. The idea was never that nobody should ever shoot shots in mid-range. That was never the idea. It was that people who are good at shooting those shots should shoot those shots. Big shot from Forbes to get it back to 9.
I'm searching and trying to figure out what I saw.
Good defense there by the Bucks. They swarmed CP, and the length around him really bothered him.
Down 11.
Giannis has Cam Johnson in the post, and Johnson strips him. Yeah, Haram talking about Ayton Wiseman. It's come up a lot. I think it's important, especially given how good that Ayton has played these postseason, to remember that they're different prospects. There's a reason Ayton was picked number 1 over Luka and Trey and Jaren Jackson, and that he was a much better prospect coming in than Wiseman ever was. I think there's some instructiveness to be taken there, that if you let a young center sort of learn for a couple years, then they can have a big impact like their 3rd year in the league. But Ayton was always more polished than Wiseman was coming in, and I think that we can't forget that there's a gap there, as much as I would love if that is the trajectory that Wiseman takes.
Account. Did you guys watch Wiggs in the qualified? Closely watch. I did a whole video closely watching Wiggs. We got to talk about that, though. I was really impressed with, because during the season, it's kind of hard to just focus on one guy. And you got to really see how the thing I love about Wiggs is his recovery on the pick and roll. To me, it's elite. Just because he's light on his feet, and yet he's wiry, so he's still strong, and he's got the 7-foot wingspan. So, whoever they get, Moody, they're gonna have to teach him how to cover the NBA pick and rolls and stuff. And feel like Wiggs has got that.
Yeah,
but he still has those little brain farts late. The connection I made was I think he got, because he played the entire 3rd quarter in that game against Greece. And then he had some brain farts in the 4th quarter. And I'm thinking maybe he's just tired. When he gets tired,
and that's real.
His mentality takes a break. And then you see him doing, he's still settling for the jumper first. And he's getting predictable that way. I feel like I'm like, oh, he's going to want to shoot that. Just like kind of like Michael Jordan back in the day. He said, oh, yeah, I let Clyde Drexler shoot the 3 to come out. If he makes it, then I kind of got an easy game on defense, because he's going to think he can make it all game. So that was Michael Jordan's little taking a shot at Clyde Drexler back in the day. So I feel like that's kind of the similar thing with Wiggins.
Gabe, what time are you at?
Commercial. Chris Paul's been huge down the stretch here, though.
I feel like I'm seeing things.
Yeah. Bucks keep making pushes, and Chris Paul is answering.
Chris Paul. 12 for 18 field goals, man. CP. Just amazing that
All right.
playing.
Seeing Chris Paul highlight here. 30-point games in finals history, age 36 and older.
All right, I'm at 3:20. Let me know.
Okay. Okay, I'm at Giannis's free throw. All right, 24, 23, 22, 21, 320. So on CP3's back, leads extended back up to 13. Bucks are really in a crisis down here. They kind of have to pitch a shutout.
If CP3 had hit that,
yeah, Bucks got to go quick here, or they're just going to run out of time. Giannis understands and drives right to the rim and gets fouled. But if he can't hit free throws, if he can't hit free throws, it doesn't really matter how fast he gets to the rim. They just are still only going to get 1 point. Been actually, I mean, that's definitely a foul, but I've been actually very impressed with Cam Johnson's defense.
I was going to say, like, you know, he's trying to hold on for his life.
He's got length and height to deal with Giannis, but he's giving up probably like 80 pounds of muscle, it looks like. I'm shocked he can stay with him. And Giannis can't make a free throw again.
Big shock.
Yeah. Giannis. Free throw line continues to be a serious source of problems for him. I enjoy not rooting for one of these stars that just can't make free throws. It must be very frustrating. 1 of 2. Lead is 12 with 3 minutes left. Again, Bucks are really running out against the clock here. They kind of have to pitch a shutout. And you got to imagine that Chris Paul and Booker are going to milk clock every possession here.
Bridges. Nope.
Good. Bucks are having a door open for them. Oh. Holiday in the corner. Can't hit. That's a big miss. That would have been huge. Now 2 minutes left. Bucks are really running out of time.
Yeah. One more bucket will just about.
Yeah, and you know Chris
Nail in the
Paul's
coffin.
going to just milk clock. Finds Bridges, finds Ayton, gets fouled.
And they want to review it. I guess to see if he was fouled before the 24-second.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Because there's no doubt that was a foul.
Yeah, I think that's just the question.
But it doesn't. Oh, they're looking at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked pretty close, but it's hard to tell from what we can see.
Rhymes with towel, Rebecca. I'm bored.
I think the foul came
foul.
First. Back.
Oh.
Yeah, foul came first.
No,
So that
foul
should probably do it. I mean, barring craziness, but that is probably enough, presuming he makes 1 or 2 of these free throws.
Do they do it when they whistled it, though?
Yeah, I don't know if they're looking at, when they do a replay like that, if they're looking at the actual contact or the call.
I have no clue what they're saying.
Because that's trickier. If they're looking at contact, it seems pretty clear that it happened before the foul, or before the shot clock. But yeah.
By the way, I'm going to be at Tahoe this weekend, stalking Steph and Del
Jealous.
and Seth. Yeah, it's going to be great. Just if not for the weather, weather in San Francisco has sucked. Has the weather sucked over in Oakland, Gabe?
It's been pretty overcast. Yeah, I was
going to say it's not better in Florida right now. we have a hurricane. Well, it's not coming at my area of Florida, but we've got all the hurricane rain.
Oh yeah, saw that.
So the hurricane's
Florida
going
weather.
around where I am. It's going up the other coast, but we're still getting all of the rain from it. So it's been raining here for like the last 2 weeks.
Oh,
I do not envy that.
We had one day that it didn't rain, and it just happened to be the 4th of July.
oh, that's good.
Yeah, agreed, Haram. I think Aiton's a lot more under control and has some more strength for sure. But I mean, again, Wiseman's young. We'll see.
You gotta shoot that.
Yeah, Buck's just coming up
Ah,
short.
that was off you, Bridges.
Just coming up short. But I think Milwaukee can feel a little good about a lot of stuff going wrong for them and keeping this a game in the end.
I love these Phoenix jerseys.
Yeah, they're cool.
I also love jerseys once they put the finals patch on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Just adds like a new thing to it. Although someone posted something that like made me really reminiscent, and I wonder when they stopped doing this, was when they stopped, making like putting the trophy as part of the court.
Yeah, a couple years ago, and they stopped using this like cursive script that's in my background, which I was really bummed out by. I thought that was like an iconic thing for the NBA.
Oh yeah, because of the YouTube partnership.
Yeah,
YouTube said, "Nah, you're changing that."
I know. Now it just looks
gave you a lot of cash.
It's like very basic and boxy and just kind of
ugly.
meh.
Yeah, so YouTube-ish logo.
Yeah, it's just very generic.
Giannis, you really got to learn to hit your free throws too.
Just 1 for 2, 1 for 2, 1 for 2. And still a 13-point game.
1 for 2, 1 for 2. Air ball. 1 for 2, 1 for 2.
Gotta love a good air ball.
He's so much worse of a free throw shooter in the playoffs this year too, which is killing them.
Nice finish. Great
that'll
pass.
do it.
Nice finish.
Aiton's having a great game kind of quietly.
Aiton has such good length, and his ability to finish, not even a dunk. Like a lot of centers that size are like mostly dunking centers. Yeah, he's got a little bit of finesse.
Yeah, he's got great control on those.
Like, if there's a out of control alley-oop, like he's got pretty good finesse.
Yeah,
for a big man.
Really good body control on those types of plays. Ends up with 20 and 19, or 22 and 19, by the way.
Yeah, I've noticed he's just been gobbling up every single rebound.
Yep. And that'll do it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, we'll see if we get the itch to come back on live sometime.
Certainly, I'm sure we will talk more about draft stuff once we get into the end of July.
I wonder what'll change, though, other than us doing more research. Not much.
Yeah, I mean, that is the problem. Draft eval is like, they've done everything. We don't get to see the workouts, so the amateur draft analyst's job is mostly over at this point. I'm sure there will be intel that will leak out about, blah, 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 liking whatever team, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty impressive. They're showing Kareem and Ayton in the same category as young big time first game in the finals performances.
Mad respect to if he gets another rebound here, he might get 20. To Giannis for coming out and playing.
Yeah, and I thought he looked mostly himself.
Oh, welcome to oh no, CP3, you took it. You had
Is
to
that
take it.
Is that you hanging out at NYU a lot? Mad respect? Or is it a Florida thing? Or is it an East Coast thing?
I think it's a young person thing.
Yeah.
No, it's New York, right? We don't say that in the Bay, right, Gabe?
I don't know.
Come on, you have Zooms with your kids. Oh yeah, they probably don't hear them in conversation.
My teenagers don't give me mad respect.
I don't think I wouldn't say it's an NYU thing.
I feel like it's like New York, Philly thing.
It could be.
Yeah. So you go back to NYU when? August?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and are you still able to go to Vegas Summer League? Because
Yeah.
I'm worried that can they just finish the schedule? I don't want to go on August 8th and the Warriors aren't playing that day. You know, I want to spend as few days and nights as Vegas as I need to.
Really? I've never been there, so I kind of want to spend like a little bit so I can I can't go and gamble.
Okay,
but
yeah. Check off
to
those
go
boxes.
explore. Yeah.
Go walk the Caesars shop.
Yeah, exactly. I've never
go
gone.
Watch the Bellagio fountain.
Exactly. So
on Ocean's 11. Yeah, do that.
That's a great movie.
I'm still trying to get to the damn draft, and I don't even know if they're gonna, because the media for finals was drastically reduced. I got that confirmed today by some foreign reporters. And are they going to drastically reduce the draft? I don't know. That would suck. Like,
I don't know,
like they need to sell
because
tickets.
they don't typically have a lot of fans at the draft.
Right. So I'm trying to get there, but the longer they take, the less likely I'm going to go. So
where's the draft this year?
To New York. Brooklyn. It's pretty much always in New York.
Oh yeah,
it is Center.
Which is a nice arena for it, and they do a good job of it.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, obviously if you have press pass and get to go to like the media and stuff for the players after and kind of get that part of it, but I felt like just as a fan going.
Yeah, I know. You're just sitting there and you're yelling and you're.
I do remember JP getting drafted, and I was pumped.
Yeah. Basically, the draft is fan-wise, it's just a bunch of Knicks fans and Philly fans because they'll come by. Because it's just really close. So it's basically Philly fans and Knicks fans cheering or jeering.
Yeah, you'll get some Lakers fans and stuff too.
Ew.
Of course.
But that's because there's Lakers fans like everywhere.
Yeah. They got the 22nd pick. Our resident Laker fan on our Discord who isn't, he's a smart guy, Mark. He's secretly hoping for Johnny Juzang of, I don't know how you pronounce that, but he's half Vietnamese, the guy on UCLA, the shooter.
Sure, yeah.
So he feels that would be a cool fit for the Lakers, and
sure,
they're kind of like the position we were in, where just kind of doesn't matter, 20 whatever.
Just hoping some of those guys stick around.
Well,
you got LeBron and AD.
Some of the predictions have Trey Mann going there.
Oh yeah.
Who I don't want to go there.
We were talking about Trey Mann. I forgot what did we talk about him on the Discord?
I probably brought him up because he goes to Florida. So he's a Gator. So I don't want him to go to the Lakers because I want to be able to root for him, and I will never root for him if he's on the Lakers.
Yeah.
Although granted, I still rooted for Quinn Cook.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah. It was good seeing him the first time. Came back to chase.
Yeah. Well, are we ready for a CP3 Finals MVP?
I wanted to go to Booker, but Booker's gonna have to step up his game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Bucks could still win, and it could all go differently.
Oh, man.
But that's definitely the path.
I think he's gonna get it. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna like honestly, I think there's just so much like assumption that he's gonna like from the media. The media has such respect for him that I think he's gonna get it.
Yep, and that doesn't help the Steph legacy, even though I don't care about legacies, but everybody else does.
He was literally like one vote away from getting it, and it pisses me off.
Yeah. Speaking of Rusty Simmons, he got a vote, and he voted for not Steph that year.
Uh-oh. Try to remember not to bring that up. So that was the Iguodala one?
Yeah. I mean,
oh well, that year he wasn't the one vote. I don't think.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
It had to be 2017.
18, I think.
I think 18.
Yeah, because the
That's
first
the one we swept, right?
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
KD title, KD pretty much ran away with it. I mean, Steph played great, but
Because he made the same shot.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at KD's stats in that finals, and it's absurd. Like, I get it. You could argue, of course, that Steph being, the focal point of the Cavs defense is a big reason why KD's stat line looked the way it did. But anyways, but in 2018, Steph outplayed him in 3 of the 4 games, but then he had a really bad third game, and KD had a really
and it wasn't even like
game.
he hit one of the daggers.
No, it was just Steph had one bad shooting game, and KD played really well in that game, and that seemed to do it.
And even in that game, though, Steph hit one of the biggest daggers.
Yeah. I mean, it's annoying because literally nobody has ever counted finals MVPs until it was used as an argument against Steph. Like I never heard anyone talk about it until it was like a way to discredit him. And it's dumb. It doesn't mean anything. There's like 9 media people who vote on it, and they get to somehow make that decision entirely. What I really think should exist is like a playoffs MVP. I think that would be much more interesting because finals MVP maybe separately than finals, because like, for instance, in 2018, the finals was 4 games. Like, that's such a tiny sample size. KD and Steph both played great. Who cares? Like, they both deserved it. I don't know, But if you look over the whole course, like if you give a team that made the finals credit when you're voting for who wins their MVP for their entire playoff run, like I think you could make a better case for who really is the reason they got there. But whatever. Awards are ultimately only as interesting as you want them to be.
Hey, I'm ready to go, but we didn't really get a chance to talk with Doc Martin because he didn't have any intel on Chris Duarte, but we have a guy here in the comments. What do you know about Duarte, Gabe? Because that's a name that Warriors pundits are talking about on Twitter.
Yeah, he's been discussed as a target at 14.
He's a wing, or how tall is he?
He's 6'6", 6'7". I forget which.
Wingspan?
He has a plus wingspan, like more than his height. I forget exactly the numbers, but he's like a solid sized wing guy who can probably play 2 or 3. He is a very good shooter. I think he shot over 40% from 3 in the college level, and he was Oregon's primary scorer, so he was getting a focus of defense, and he still put up 40+% on good volume. So really, honestly, the reason he's even available at 14 is just his age. Otherwise, he'd be talked to a lot higher because he has all the skills of a modern NBA wing. He's just 24 years old. And so there's a lot of questions about what that means. Obviously, it means that his upside is limited. Like he kind of is the guy he is. And the reason the Warriors look like a good target for him is that that's exactly the kind of guy they need. Like he's very likely to be able to step in day one and contribute because he's an older prospect and he already is very well-rounded in his skill set. If he was 20 years old, he'd be a top 6 pick. Like if he was doing what he did. But of course, there's always the question of if you're 24 and you're playing against 20-year-olds, like how much of your production is because you're just a lot bigger than these children that you're pushing around, So that's sort of the question is how limited is he, like how capped is he as far as how good he can be in the NBA? I think there's no doubt that he can be a solid shooter and a solid defender. It's just sort of a question of he did some on the ball stuff at Oregon because he was their best player. And so if that stuff can translate, he could be better than just kind of your random 3-and-D, can't do a lot else guy. But even, I feel like he makes a lot of sense at 14 if he's available because, like I said, he's the kind of guy who will be able to contribute in year one, even if he, might not get that much better by year 5.
That might also depend on maybe there's a little tampering going on, how you're doing with those vet wing free agents. Because if you're not doing so well with those veteran wings, and then maybe you pick a Duarte who can come in and take that spot. But if you're pretty confident, like Iguodala's giving you the wink wink, and Bazemore's giving you the wink, then maybe you can. I don't know who else would you get at 14 if you were solid on your wings.
It's so hard to know because at that point it's really just a matter of how those previous 5 picks or so have tumbled. Like there's this whole glut of guys that are in that range, so if you're looking for a big, like Doc mentioned, Kai Jones as another sort of like young big prospect, but I would be really wary of drafting another big. It's just a lot of draft capital used up in a position that you only play one guy at a time. So
you wonder whoever they pick at 14, rather than enjoying the draft as, let's pick the 14th, just let them pick and see if that gives off any hint as to the remainder of the roster.
Yeah.
Because if they go and get a Kai Jones, then you've got to think that, okay, they probably got a lot of their slots ready to go. Because then why would you pick a backup center at that point, right? There's a lot
Kispert, somebody mentioned Kispert in the comments.
There you go,
don't expect him to be there at 14. If I was to guess, I think New Orleans at 10 is probably a pretty high level spot for him because they just
is he 6'7" or taller than 6'7"?
6'7". He actually measured out really well at the combine. I forget all the specific numbers, but he was really high in athletic testing, which everyone was really surprised by, given that he doesn't really play with athleticism. But, the shot is obviously translatable. He's 6'7" and can shoot like heck. I mean, that's like obviously you can see where that player plays in the NBA easily. And he competes defensively too.
If you go to our channel, there's a video of him. He's a very, very charismatic guy. So I think he will also be gone by 14.
But it's similarly with Duarte, he's a little older. He's played out in college for several years, and so he doesn't, and he can't do a lot. He's not going to be a star, right? Like, but if you're taking Joe Harris at 10, like that's good value.
Yeah, if Jessup is one of the two ways, then I guess if Kispert is available at 14, you can pick him as best player available type. I just feel like suddenly if Clay's back, Jordan Poole keeps playing the way he is, then you've got a glut at shooting guard where you could have used one of those as a defensive wing. See what I mean? Because whoever you pick, like, then you're going to lose the other need that you have. And
it'll be really interesting.
I kind of want more wings just for the versatility,
I think that's the way to go. That's the modern NBA. I mean, you can play 3 to 4 of them at the same time, right? So that's the most valuable position for sure. Multi-positional wing guys.
All right.
We'll see.
Anything else, people? Let's go rest. That was good. Man, I loved having Doc Martin on there. Anybody who's in the game, been in a draft room before, worked for an actual NBA team, and for us to be able to get a guy like that, I feel very lucky. Like that doesn't happen every day. Someone who's accessible. Everyone wants Matt Babcock himself, excuse me, and he's becoming a star.
Sure.
Because we had him on draft day last year, and we're not going to get him this year. I don't think he's just too much in demand. But we'll get Doc. I think. I hope.
Yeah, I think the basketball news guys run their own like live draft thing, and so I'm sure he'll be on that. Yeah.
We got a lot of money invested in that one.
Yeah.
All right, get some sleep, Rebecca.
I will.
Yeah.
Phoenix takes game one. And that's it. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. See you later.